Max Verstappen had a rough weekend in Hungary. He ended up finishing 5th, despite the team's upgrades that were meant to boost their performance. Adding to his frustration were multiple disputes with his team. The usually reliable Austrian team missed the mark on strategy, leaving Verstappen, who usually racks up most of the points, visibly upset. This setback becomes even more significant with McLaren hot on their heels and consistently performing well on all tracks. Could this be a sign of trouble ahead for Verstappen's future with Red Bull? The drama started early at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Right from the first corner, Verstappen was told by his team to give back a position he gained on Norris by going off the track. Verstappen thought he had the right of way, but Red Bull didn't want to take any risks. This decision only fueled his frustration even more. He sarcastically suggested that if this is how things are going to be, he might as well start pushing other drivers around and then just ask for his position back. It's clear that Verstappen is under a lot of stress. Before he even let Norris pass him, Piastri was already gaining significant ground ahead, and Verstappen just couldn't keep up with Norris's MCL38 once he let him by. This added to his frustration about the car's performance in Hungary. The tyre strategy didn't help Verstappen either. His team kept him out longer than Hamilton, who was just a second behind Verstappen during the first stint on the medium tyres. This seemed like a planned move for an undercut, which Hamilton nailed perfectly. When Verstappen got close, it reminded him of their intense battles in 2021, when they often came close to crashing. In the later stages of the race, emotions got the better of Verstappen. During the third stint, after conserving his tyres to launch an attack on Hamilton, he became too aggressive. He'd already struggled to pass Hamilton a few laps earlier at turn 2, feeling like he was being squeezed out again. This led him to brake late and collide with the 7-time world champion at turn 1. Honestly, Verstappen should count himself lucky for escaping without any damage to his car and finishing the race in 5th place. The impact on the car's floor could have been much worse and might have even forced him to retire. Despite this, Verstappen started accusing Hamilton of moving during the braking zone. However, even the ever-composed Giampiero Lambiase lost his patience with him. Responding to Verstappen's complaints, Lambiase said, "Max, I'm not going to argue with the other teams on the radio. Let's leave it to the stewards. It's immature to argue on the radio. Immature." Just after a few races where people accused Red Bull of being scared of Verstappen and not standing up to him, something interesting happened. Helmut Marko signed a contract extension with Red Bull until 2026, which indirectly secured Verstappen's future with the team. However, Verstappen wasn't pleased with the race strategy at all. When he was told to save his medium tyres during the third stint, he shot back angrily on the radio, "No, don't give me that stuff now. You guys gave me this awful strategy, okay? I'm trying to make the best of what's left, for God's sake." Even before his second pit stop, Verstappen was frustrated, believing the team had messed up his race with their strategy, something that usually plays to their advantage by optimizing the tyres in hot conditions. Over the radio, he elaborated, saying, "It's quite impressive how we let ourselves get undercut and completely ruin my race." And by the way, Verstappen didn't actually use the word ruin. If you follow him and love the sport, which I'm sure you do, you'll know we've toned down his original words quite a bit since they were full of offensive language we can't repeat here. Bottom line, Red Bull got outsmarted by Mercedes and almost by another team too. Verstappen should be counting his lucky stars that his incident with Hamilton didn't end in a retirement, which would have been a huge setback in the Drivers' Championship standings for him. In an odd twist, McLaren made a surprising move by asking Norris to let Piastri take the lead, something Norris had earned fairly. Despite this, McLaren decided to prioritise their strategy by pitting Norris first, effectively undercutting Piastri. Instead of gaining 7 more valuable points in the Drivers' Championship, McLaren opted to play the long game. Yet the team from Woking is convinced they've got the best car that'll perform well on any track. This is definitely something that's going to worry Red Bull as the season progresses. Despite starting from the back, Perez pulled off an impressive P7 finish, grabbing a good haul of points. However, McLaren's 1-2 finish has shaken Red Bull's dominance even more. The Austrian team now only has a 51-point lead over McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari is also in the mix, just 67 points behind. Mercedes has shown they're still in the game too, with Russell pulling off a fantastic P8 finish despite starting far back after a poor qualifying session. During the drivers' parade, Verstappen admitted Red Bull doesn't have the race pace to compete with McLaren, suggesting reporters were looking at different data than the team had. This is particularly worrying as this was supposed to be the race package that would turn Red Bull's season around. Marco's optimistic comments had set high expectations, and it was supposed to be a race where Verstappen would easily dominate. However, Red Bull now finds itself in a tight spot. The P3 start was definitely influenced by Tsunoda's red flag just 2 minutes before Q3 ended. However, Verstappen didn't seem to have the speed to overtake the MCL38. This makes the Drivers' Championship all the more exciting as we move forward. Clearly, Red Bull has been caught up to pretty fast, something Verstappen warned us about over the weekend. He mentioned that he can't just settle with the excuse that they've hit their peak and can't improve the RB20 any further. Verstappen elaborated on this, saying that he has a lot on his mind regarding his future with Red Bull if he wants to continue his championship streak, which is under significant threat. After all, it's been a while since the Austrian team failed to win 3 races in a row. This situation also raises concerns for the second seat. Whenever Verstappen makes mistakes now, there isn't another driver who can step up and secure high points. With top teams like McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes, it's clear that intense competition is key for racking up points in the Constructors' Championship. Their smart strategies and positioning are crucial when going up against Verstappen from Red Bull. Given this, the last 9 races of the season promise to be some of the most exciting yet. One person who's thrilled about the recent shake-ups at Red Bull is Toto Wolff. The Austrian team principal is determined to chase down Verstappen. Wolff has said that he's at a point in his career where winning races and championships is a must, and it's up to Mercedes to supply him with the car to do just that. The current situation sets the stage perfectly for Verstappen to consider leaving Red Bull, especially as their performance has dipped lately. Despite promises from figures like Marco and Horner about significant upgrades, Red Bull is no longer the undisputed leader. We could very well be entering a new era where McLaren rises to the top once again. The Woking Bay team's 1-2 finish is surely going to fire up Verstappen for the upcoming race in Spa, one of his all-time favourites. However, it looks like he might have to use a 5th engine this time, which means he'll get a 10-place grid penalty. Given that his recent qualifying results haven't been great, there's no guarantee he'll start in P11 if that happens. Meanwhile, Perez's struggles, especially in Saturday's sessions, keep the competition wide open. Do you think Verstappen's frustration is justified? Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.